We are right now in verse number 6. So, we have just discussed the three Purusha avatars, that is the Kshirodaksha Vishnu, Karnadaksha Vishnu, and Garbhodaksha Vishnu. All the previous have been studied, and now we will be studying with the various other incarnations of the Lord. So, let's start with verse number 6. Can anyone read the translation for me?
First of all, in the beginning of creation, there were the four unmarried sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, who, being situated in the vow of celibacy, underwent severe austerities for realization of the absolute truth.
And
The supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices accepted the incarnation of a boar, the second incarnation, and for the welfare of the earth, he lifted the earth from the nether region of the universe.
so the first incarnation was out of the four Kumaras. Now, what is the importance of the four Kumaras? They were Urdhva-reta Brahmacharis. Now, what is this Urdhva-reta Brahmacharis? Now, Shastra says there are only 5 Urdhva-reta Brahmacharis. Why doesn't she come out and come facing me? Priya, why are you not? I am not able to see you only.
Well, she's got a little cold, so she's.
Said all is well. No problem. At least I can see you, no? मुझे लगा she's not chanting, that's why she's hiding. At least I can see you, see that you are so clear that I can see your face. I want everyone to be sitting like that I can see everyone's face. Okay. So first is Urdhva-reta Brahmacharis. Now what are Urdhva-reta Brahmacharis? So you have heard of this word?
No, Prabhuji.
Now there are only, basically Shastra says a very rare are Brahmacharis are very common. But actually that is not Brahmachari. Urdhva-reta Brahmacharis are special. And they are very, very rare and difficult. One is the four Kumaras, then Narad Muni, Bhishma Pitama, then more of them. Narad Muni, Kumaras, Bhishma Pitama, Sukadeva Goswami, and one more is there. Hanumanji. Yes. These Hanumanji. These are 5 Urdhva-reta. Now what are Urdhva-reta? See, our body is made of Pancha Dhatu. Then, if you see in the Sankhya philosophy, there are many Sankhya philosophy. What is Sankhya philosophy? Now let's understand what is Sankhya. That which gives you the distinctive understanding of the various elements involved in this entire material creation. That is Sankhya. जैसा आपका शरीर पंचभूत से बना है. But then what does 7th chapter say? भूमि आपो अनलो वायु खम मनो बुद्धि एवच अहंकार इति में भिन्न प्रकृति अष्टदशे बोलता है. So that is why 25 elements are there. That is 5 working senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses. So like that, Sankhya philosophy is having various ways in which it is divided. So in one of the Sankhya philosophy, there it says that 7 धातु से ये शरीर बना है. उसमें से एक है, that is वीर्य, or what we call as a shukra. Shukra is also called as shukra. And the body is made in such a way that the virya will come to the upastra or to the genitals. The body is structured in such a way it will come. Whereas these people, they have made sure that it will go upwards and not downwards. That is what is called as Urdhva-reta. Now, to understand this Urdhva-reta, what is the speciality? Now, we all know the 4 Kumaras never grew. They were as small 4-year, 5-year kids. Why? Their life actually stops at that point. The growth of the entire life. That is why you see, all these 5 people are eternal. Hanumanji is eternal. Sukadeva Goswami is eternal. Bhishma Pitama had Ichcha Mrityu. So if he had eternal Ichcha, he would have never died. Because of this power, they could hold themselves, freeze themselves at that point itself. Then your what do you say? 4 Kumaras, Narad Muni also, same ever boy, ever young, international spaceman, intergalaxial spaceman. We can go to any galaxy without visa also. So this is what is the speciality of this. That is why first incarnation was that of the 4 Kumaras. Then all of you know about the Varaha Avatar. What is the speciality of the Varaha Avatar? Page.
First.
Prabhuji, first incarnation was 4 Kumaras.
4 Kumaras. See, it's written clearly. It's written. First of all, in the beginning of creation, there were the 4 unmarried sons of Brahma. See, that is why here we are discussing about the 24 avatars of the Lord. हम लोग को 10 अवतार मालूम है. Generally we are famous with the Dasha avatar, but this chapter talks about the 24 avatars. Now what is this 24 avatars का speciality? There is various types of avatars. That is normally just momentary, like Parshuram ji. He had that power to kill the Kshatriyas 21 times, and after that you will not see any major heroic deed of his. In fact, he lost against Bhishma Pitamaha in the war. And though he was a teacher, as a teacher when he fought when Ambalika ka jo issue hua tha, that time he fought with Bhishma and he literally lost. So one who killed the entire Kshatriya clan 21 times, वो व्यक्ति कैसे अचानक उसका पावर चला गया? So they are called as Shakti-Avesha. उनको एक टेम्पररी शक्ति आवेश होता है. That will discuss. Don't worry, everything will come in Bhagavatam detail. I will take it. So that is Shakti Avesha. So that time he gets that Shakti for that one. And once that is over, it is gone. So there like that there are various avatars. जैसा ये लोग इनका अवतार एक एक चीज के लिए है. There is the 4 Kumaras were actually propagated for some certain purpose. So here we are talking of those avatars which are very vividly important or Lord had incarnated for certain purposes. So यहाँ पे वो discuss करो. It doesn't mean यहाँ पे Lord is ending. Lord is Ananta. That is why Lord is called as Ananta. But still these are prominent. You can say they are prominent.
So probably these are Leela avatars.
The Leela avatars, Guna avatar, Shakti Avesha avatar, like the various avatars. That is why I said I'll come with that in detail. That's a big chart. It's a big chart. 1-2 lectures will require only to understand that chart. So it's complicated. So let's make it very simple. So see, let us understand the purpose of these incarnations. What is so special of these incarnations? Varavatar, of course. Who doesn't know about Varavatar? किसको पता नहीं है Varavatar के बारे में? मालूम है? आपको मालूम है?
I just know I don't know in detail.
What do you know?
I just know that जो इसमें लिखा है वही मुझे पता है. That you know he took the to uplift the earth, he took the.
Alright. And then of course there's in the Prabhupada writes in the 3rd canto will come, we can understand that how there was a overlaps of Chakshushu Manvantara and other Manvantaras overlapping was there. That will come in discuss. We will discuss in 3rd canto in detail about the Boar avatar. So I am not taking much time over here. We go to the next avatar. We will discuss in detail at that time. Tritiya avatar. What was the 3rd avatar? You can read now. Come on, some of the bad teachers can read. इतना बड़ा project क्या है? हाँ, read. Someone read.
In the millennium of the Rishis, the personality of God had accepted the 3rd empowered incarnation in the form of Devrasi Narada, who is a great sage among the demigods. He collected expositions of the Vedas which deal with devotional service and which inspire non-futile action.
This also avatar I will discuss in detail because it is already discussed in the Bhagavatam in the coming chapters. So that time we will discuss in detail about Narada Muni. So Going ahead with that. Yes, so
In the fourth incarnation, the Lord became Nara and Narayana, the twin sons of the wife of King Dharma. Thus he undertook severe and explanatory penances to control the senses.
very nice. So now what do you understand from this? Nar Narayan Rishi. How many of you know about Nar Narayan Rishi? Who was Nar Narayan Rishi?
प्रभु जी वो ऋषि थे और उन्होंने बहुत सारा तपस्या किया था एंड देन व्हेन इंद्र वांटेड टू ब्रेक देयर तपस्या उन्होंने कुछ उर्वशी या उसको मतलब ही सेंड
That I told you in Badrinath Ashram.
Yes. हाँ
But
just
what was the purpose of Nar Narayan Rishi incarnation? हाँ, very nice, very good.
वही कंटिन्यूस उनको एक लड़का था एक तपस्या
हाँ, चलो किसी को पार्ट के तो मालूम है.
कर्ण का पिछला
हाँ, correct. So now let us understand the entire Leela of Nar Narayan Rishi. There was a Rakshasa called Dhamba Udbhava. The name itself describes very nicely. Dhamba था उसको. और उद्भव मीन्स उससे पैदा हुआ था, उसके अंदर होलसेल में भरा हुआ था. And he worshipped सूर्य देव. And as usual देवी देवता क्या देते हैं? जो मन वर मांगो दे दे. तो उसने वापस पहले as usual हर कोई राक्षस मांगता है. क्या मांगा? I want to be Amar. Amar मिला नहीं. So then what was the next avatar? What was the next ashram they can ask? They asked for ऐसा पॉलिसीज मांगते हैं ना जिससे उनको कुछ होगा नहीं. जैसे ना हिरण्यकशिपु ने मांगा, ना अंदर ना बाहर ना दिन में ना रात में, ऐसा कुछ टेढ़ा पॉलिसीज मांगते हैं. तो यहाँ पे इसने क्या मांगा? ठीक है, यू गिव मी 1000 कवच, 1000 कवच, एंड इन 1000 कवच अगर कोई इस कवच को तोड़ सकता है वो व्यक्ति होना चाहिए जो 1000 साल तपस्या कर सके. उसके बाद जो मुझसे लड़ेगा मैक्सिमम ही कैन ब्रेक 1 कवच ऑफ माइन. बट सामने इसमें और एक कंडीशन है, जैसे मेरा कवच टूटेगा वो आदमी भी मर जाए, वो आदमी भी मर जाए. एक तो 1000 साल तपस्या करने का, then the kavach he can fight with me, and in that fight he can try to defeat me, and even if I get defeated, 1 kavacha will break, and after that 1 kavacha breaks, that person dies. And as usual, Suryadev gave that word, but Suryadev knew that this fellow is going to misuse the boon. So immediately, what to do next? So here, Murti, the daughter of Rising, Manu, she was married to Dharmaraj, and she was praying that please किसी भी तरह इस राक्षस को मार दो. Finally, Lord blessed her, and twins were born. Who are the twins? Nar and Nara. Both were identical to each other. Don't you actually do a story session? Nar Narayan. These two Nar Narayan, they were from the day one, they were looking identical. Both were looking same. मतलब it's like एक आत्मा दो आत्मा, एक आदमी के दो आत्मा के शरीर, दो शरीर के अंदर, it's like that. No, that dialogue is there ना वैसा. हाँ? Mirror images of each other. And they both went to Badrika Ashram to do tapasya. And that is why here it is said he took severe and exemplary penance to control the senses. It's very difficult to do that much of penance. And when both had completed 1000 years of penance, first Nara went to fight with this Sahasra Kavach. Now he was called as Sahasra Kavach. Dambhodbhava was called as Sahasra Kavach. After he fought, first Kavach broke. But जैसा Kavach broke, Nara fell down. Down goes down. So when he fell down, Sahasra Kavach said, "ठीक, 999 तो बाकी है। अभी और ये तो मर गए, ठीक है, हजारों वर्ष तपस्या करके आया रहेगा, ठीक। इतने ही सॉ someone like him only again running towards him. He was wondering, अभी तो मर गया, अभी तो भाग गया। Then he realized, oh, this is someone else, and that was Narayan. Narayan came running towards towards Nar, and in his ears he spoke a mantra, and when he spoke the mantra, he again got enlightened, came back to life. Dambodh understood planning. He has definitely chanted the Mrityunjay mantra. Mrityunjay mantra. Shivji has blessed him with Mrityunjay mantra. That's why he has tried. That's why he has come back to life. Now he said, "ठीक है, देखता हूँ." This fellow Nara went back, and Narayan started fighting with him again. Because 1000 years he had done tapasya. He again fought. Again the same story. After 1000 years, this fight was going on. This fellow did his tapasya for 1000 years, and at the end of 1000 years, this fellow broke the other kavach. Again,
1000 years to fight.
Fight.
Break the kavach also 1000 years.
1000 years. Was so powerful. He was empowered. So again he was blessed. Again he fell down when the kavach broke. Again Nara came and whispered the mantra in his ears. Again he came back to power. Then he went. So the cycle was going on. So like this, 999 kavachas broke. So एक कवच बचा है. He said, now ये आखिरी कवच ये टूट गया तो फिर मेरा विकेट गया. तो मैं क्या? So he ran back to Surya Dev and took shelter under Surya. So that's how the earth was cleared temporarily from the power of Dambodh or Sahasrabhuj. But the same, propensities don't go. That is why in the Mahabharata, when Kunti Devi prayed to Surya Dev, Karna was born with the last kavach. That why he was born with the last kavach. क्या हो गया? कोई टेंशन में आ रही? Karna was born. That is how Karna was born. Now, first and foremost, who is this Nara and Nara? Let us understand that first. In Purans it comes. I think it comes in Padma Puran or Vara Puran. I don't know. I will check out. I forgot the Puran.
प्रभु जी, so that वो धम्म का जो last कवच था, so he went to Surya Dev, and then he surrendered.
And then he again came back as Karna.
अच्छा, he came back as
Karna. That's why Karna was born with one kavach.
Okay.
कवच कुंडल्स के साथ कर्ण क्यों पैदा हुआ? इसकी वजह से कर्ण पैदा हुआ. और वो एक कवच एंड में इंद्र ने मांग लिया उसको और वो कवच निकाल के दिया, तभी वो मार सका. That's why that is a condition given. And that is also again it was done by Nara. Arjuna came as Nara and Krishna was none other than Narayan. So Narayan every time Arjuna will come with. Now who is Nara? There is a small story. Once there was a big fight between Brahma and Shivji. बाप बेटे में झगड़ा होता है. So finally one Rakshasa was left by Brahma. Kill this fellow, Shivji. So Shivji came running to Vishnu, came to shelter. Please save me. Don't worry. Don't think only English movies about fiction and science fictions and outer space life and all that. Our Shastra has got much more than that. In fact, our Shastra has got logical. You see that the friction is illogical. Shastra has got logic. So when Shiva came over there, he said, "Please somehow save me from the Asura." So it's a big story. I'm just cut shorting the otherwise poor lecture. I just learned Narayan lecture. Immediately, Lord removed his hand, left hand. He plucked out his left hand, and then blood came out from it. And Shiva always have a kapala, skull. He had it. So he was holding that, and golden blood went and filled that. And when the blood was getting filled, that time continuously, Shiva was looking at it by brain and was stirring it. Finally, one point came when the kapal got filled with the golden blood, and Vishnu put back his back of the brush. And now, when he was keeping on stirring that, then suddenly Vishnu asked, "What has happened?" That time Shiva said, "One Nara has come out of it." Here the word Nara means a human form. Human form has come out of it. Then he said, "You have called him Nara, let him be called as Nara." And he came as a big hero form. And he told him, "What now?" He said, "Now I am you are my master. Please tell me what I should do." We just said, "Go and kill that Asura," and he killed. So actually, if you see, Nara is none other than Vishnu himself, come from his blood. So it's an expansion. So don't think, if you all are in that confusion, Krishna is going to come and drive your Ratha. Don't think that Krishna is going to drive your Ratha. Krishna took only out of the Pandavas, he chose only and only Arjuna, because he was none other than Nara. Expansion. So it was like Krishna is sitting here also, Krishna is sitting behind us. That is why Vasudevam Sarvam. Everywhere it is Vasudeva. So that is how the entire leela of Narnarayan Rishi. And basically the Narnarayan Rishi is, it implies sheer austerity. 1,000 years austerity, then fighting for 1,000 years. Again 1,000 years austerity, again fighting. And that is the speciality of the Narnarayan avatar. Okay, so let's go to the.
Prabhuji, Prabhuji, you mentioned here that those were twins of wife of Dharma. So, मतलब wife of Dharma मतलब son of Dharma ही हुआ ना?
हाँ समझ रहा हूँ।
मतलब ऐसा mention है इसमें।
हाँ, मूर्ति wife name was Murti. Murti. Yeah, Panchava. Fifth, follow. Who can read?
The fifth incarnation, named Lord Kapila, is foremost among perfected beings. He gave an exposition of the creative elements and the metaphysics to Asuri Brahmana, for in course of time this knowledge had been lost.
This is Kapil Maharaj, is nothing else but he gave the Sankhya philosophy. That will again come in detail when we study about Kapil Maharaj. So we'll study in detail about that. Yeah.
The sixth incarnation of the Purusha was the son of sage Atri. He was born from the womb of Anasuya, who prayed for an incarnation. He spoke on the subject of transcendence of Alarka, Prahlad and others.
Now what is this actually referring to? Dattatreya. This is the incarnation of Lord Dattatreya. Now let us understand this story also a little in detail. So इसका आगे discussion नहीं है, इसके लिए यही पे discuss है. जिसका आगे discussion I am not discussing now, because there will be एकदम उसके बढ़ेंगे. So you all must be knowing this story, but still let me, for the general public, let me revise it. Once the three wives, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, तीनों का wife said, so great, because who was the person who does all this glorifying for? Narad Muni. Narad Muni came and told, you all are saying your chaste wife. The most chaste wife is Atri Muni's wife, Anusuya. Anusuya is so chaste. Ladies, they decided they will check it out. So they decided that they will somehow or other send their husbands. So the husbands were put to job. Every time this happens. So nothing else. Don't worry, it happens in the material world, it happens in the spiritual world also. The same thing happens in the spiritual world. After all, your expansion from that only. So the three husbands came to this material world to Atri Muni's house, and Anusuya was in the house, and Atri Muni was gone out. So these three came as sages, three sages, and they asked for somehow or the other. We were asking for alms. So immediately she has a very devoted lady, Brahmana's wife. She called him, said, please, Manu's daughter, Dakshapraj's daughter. So he called him and said, Anusuya's
Parvati, wo jab Sati Devi, that was also Dakshina.
both are daughters.
Okay.
Both are. So what happened was, finally, the three sages said, if you are only, we will take alms from you only if you feed us. Naked. निर्वस्त्र होके अगर आप हमको खाना खिलाओगे तो हम खाएंगे, नहीं तो नहीं. She understood. She said, yes, I will definitely do as you say. And then she went inside, cooked a very nice meal for them. And all the three, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, were sitting inside the hall, and she prayed that if I am really chaste, if I am true to my chaste power, with my power of chastity, please turn them into small kids, small infant kids. And then they became three infant kids. And with the three infant kids, a lady can go naked, no problem. The kids are too infant, they can't understand anything in front of them. So she went naked. Troubling with the fighting with the traffic or what? My God. You missed the entire story of Narayan.
No, we.
Acha. So, you've shaken me off from my. So, Anusuya took the three children in the lap as small kids, and she fed them food. So their words were also true, and her vow was also taking care of the Brahmanas. If she doesn't give the food to the Brahmanas, then it becomes a sin. It becomes a papa. So she fed the Brahmanas. So now they were the kid form. Ladies were all in tension. Our husbands are moderate, come back. Narada Muni said, they'll never come back. Their kids sitting at Anusuya's house and having nice food. They came and they all three came. So they were nice playing inside her house. So they all begged forgiveness from Anusuya and said, please give her husband's back. Okay, in that case, take your husband's back. And then all three of them, they said, we want to give you a womb. हम आपको एक आशीर्वाद देना चाहते हैं. And she said, okay, give me a blessing. If you want to give me, I want to have really three children, all three of you, as a child. So immediately all three agreed. The first Brahmaji was born as Chandra, that is as moon. We call it as moon, Chandra. Som, his other name was Som. Shivaji Anshu was born as Durvasa Muni. That is why Durvasa Muni is called as Shivaji Anshu. And he was born from the womb of Anusuya. And third was Dattatreya, which was none other than Vishnu's avatar. And then all the three.
Dattatreya was Anusuya.
Atri. Through Atri Rishi, but तीनों का वरदान, तीनों ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेश का वरदान से all were born. And after that, Som went back to the spiritual world. There were Durvasa Muni, we have heard of lot of leelas, angry young man. So उन्होंने काफी, that's why शिवजी है ना, हमेशा गरम रहते. So then after that he was left. But then they put their more powers, the emperors, more power on Vishnu's Satogun, that was in Dattatreya. So Dattatreya is an official incarnation of Lord Vishnu itself. So you call it a demigod, you may call it as an incarnation, whatever you call it. But this is a real incarnation.
So she got this all three sons in the same birth. Anusuya got all three in the same birth. Anusuya and Rishi got.
Anusuya's reference also you get in Ramayana also. Anusuya, what she did was in Ramayana. When Sita Maya was in Vanvas, she went to her house.
That sari.
She knew that, see, there are certain things because they have come in Nar Leela. I mean, Nar Leela में कैसे directly help करें? They have to show Nar Leela means helplessness. They are totally helpless, कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते हैं. तो क्या करना है? They first deliberately Anusuya gave her a sari which will never need to be washed. How many of you all will agree to take that sari?
No,
It will never go dirty.
You can never change it.
That is the point here. You can never change it. But Sita Maya was not like that. She was so great that she said, I'll wear this sari. So she accepted the sari and she gave her the Sola Shringar. The Sola Shringar was given by her, and it's mentioned very nicely in Ramayana that poor Lakshman was carrying that entire Shringar ka saman. Pura Shringar ka saman, and Lakshman was telling her, why you want to carry this? This fragrance, I mean, celestial, it's not material, it's celestial. It's not some branded one or something of that sort. It is celestial. And that fragrance would attract animals, wild animals, rakshasas, demons. Why you want to carry it? So that's how it is. When you are on life, so you have to keep your words selected.
It was a gift.
Huh? Gift. And she loved it, that gift. And that's why she tells, when she scolds Lakshman that you want to enjoy me and all that, when Ramchandraji went behind the golden deer, that time, after that, when she is kidnapped, she realizes the mistake. She says, मैंने लक्ष्मण को क्या क्या नहीं बोला. What all I said to Lakshman. And he was carrying this entire 16 श्रृंगार का सामान चल के. क्यों? Last, अभी हो गया. And that all this happened at a later stage, not at the starting. All this because they knew that now this whole Ravan ka leela hone wala hai. So all this was being helped in the way. So she said, no, I'll go back to Ayodhya. That time I'll use all this solar shringar. And the mriga also, she said, I'll carry this mriga. मैं इसको पालूंगी, इस golden deer को मैं पालूंगी. So it is said, whenever a soul, that is why always I mentioned in Ram Katha also I mentioned, Ramchandra ji is last, middle में सीता मैया and आगे is Lakshman. It is said a jiva is in between the guru and the god. It is safe. When you put both the guru and the god out for your sense enjoyment, Ravan will definitely kill. And Ravan is nothing but Maya. Nothing but Maya. You will be under clutches of Maya. Why? Because first she sent God, go and get me the golden deer. Lakshman, Guru Tattva. There is nothing called a golden deer which exists. See, look at all the other hirana, other deers. They are going away. The minute the golden deer came in, other deers, see, usually one deer comes, other deers are standing, blocking around it. But this deer, other deers are running away. That means there is something wrong. No, I want it. Lakshman is telling. And Ramchandra says, there's nothing called golden deer, it doesn't exist. No. It is there. I am saying, I have seen it. You please get me there. And then Lord Ramchandra ji felt, in 14 years she has never asked me anything. वो last, ठीक है, वो दे देता हूँ. Because finally, we also do the same. After doing lot of tapasya of the Lord, एकादशी व्रत रखा, सो उठते माला किया, सब किया. बोले कुछ तो मांग लूँगा भगवान से. That's the problem. See, everywhere Ramayana Mahabharata gives us a lesson and understanding. नहीं ब्रो ये कांदा लहसुन छोड़ दिया, चाय कॉफी छोड़ दिया, ये सब छोड़ दिया, कितना तपस्या किया मैंने, वेरी गुड तपस्या किया, अब तपस्या का मुझे एंड में ही से 14 साल हो गया, अभी तो जाएंगे ना हम लोग वापस अयोध्या जाएंगे, तब मैं सोने के हिरण को लेके जाऊंगा। और उस वक्त आप भगवान को भूल जाते हो, आपके गुरु के आज्ञा को भूल जाते हो, तभी आपको गुरु कड़वा लगता है और भगवान नॉट नेसेसरी, नॉट रिक्वायर्ड। तो उसको जब आप काम पे लगाते हो, दिस इज व्हाट। सो अनुसुईया's reference is there not only here, even in Ramayana in detail it comes. And she also teaches, in fact, she as a mother-in-law, like a mother-in-law, she teaches Sita Maya how a lady should be in those circumstances when she is living in the forest. How a lady should take care of herself and full family. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes, Darshan Prabhu.
Yes.
English medium. Come ahead. Come ahead.
The seventh incarnation was Yagna, the son of Prajapati, Ruchi and his wife Akuti. He controlled the period during the change of the
Swayambhu Manu.
Swayambhu Manu and was assisted by demigods such as his son Yama.
Yeah. So this is there is no major significance of it, but just a small mention. Even Prabhupada does not mention in detail anything about it. That this is this incarnation of the Lord Yagya as a Yagya. There are various other incarnations which we are not mentioning, like Ajit incarnation, which Lord took at the time of Samudra Manthan, when the mountain was falling from the back of the Lord, that is Kurma ऊपर से जब गिर रहा था, the Lord sat on the mountain and was holding it. That is called as Ajita Avatar. So like that, various avatars are there, but they are actually just for one purpose. That's it. Yeah. Next verse.
The eighth incarnation was King
Rishabha.
Rishabha, son of
King Nagi.
and his wife
Meru Devi.
Merudevi. In this incarnation, the Lord showed the path of perfection, which is followed by those who have fully controlled their senses and who are honored by all orders of life.
So here we are talking of Rishabh Dev. Just for your understanding, let us read this purport also. Anyone will read the purport?
The society of human being is naturally divided into 8 by orders and statutes of life, the 4 divisions of occupation and 4 divisions of cultural advancement. The intelligent class, the administrative class, the productive class and the laborer class are the 4 divisions of occupation, and the student life, the householder's life, retired life and renounced life are the 4 statutes of cultural advancement towards the path of spiritual realization. Out of these, the renounced order of life or the order of sannyasa is considered the highest of all, and a sannyasi is constitutionally the spiritual master for all the orders and divisions. In the sannyasa order also, there are 4 stages of upliftment towards perfection. These stages are called
Uddhichaka, Baulaka, Prajacharya and Prahamsa. These are the varieties of sannyasas.
The Paramahansa stage of life is the highest stage of perfection. This order of life is respected by all others. Maharaja Rashbha, the son of King Nabi and Meru Devi, was an incarnation of the Lord, and he instructed his sons to follow the path of perfection by tapasya, which sanctifies one's existence and enables one to attain the stage of spiritual happiness, which is eternal and ever increasing. Every living being is searching after happiness, but no one knows where eternal and unlimited happiness is obtainable. Foolish men seek after material sense pleasure as a substitute for real happiness, but such foolish men forget that temporary so-called happiness derived from sense pleasures is also enjoyed by the dogs and hogs. No animal, bird or beast is bereft of this sense pleasure. In every species of life, including human form of life, such happiness is immensely obtainable. The human form of life, however, is not meant for such cheap happiness. The human life is meant for attaining eternal and unlimited happiness by spiritual realization. This spiritual realization is obtained by tapasya or undergoing voluntarily the path of penance and abstinence from material pleasure. Those who have been trained for abstinence in material pleasures are called dhira or men undisturbed by the senses. Only these dhiras can accept the orders of sannyasa and they can gradually rise to the status of the Paramhamsa, which is adored by all members of society. King Rashba propagated this mission, and at the last stage he became completely aloof from the material bodily needs, which is a rare stage not to be imitated by foolish men, but to be worshipped by all.
Very important why I made you read this. You have to understand one important thing. That Rishabdev showed us, or rather in that incarnation, he showed how a person after living a king's life gives up everything and takes up the higher order wherein he is in search of the truth, absolute truth. And here when we are talking of the varieties of sannyasis. Sannyasis of varied type, Kutichaka, Bhulaka, Parajacharya and Paramhamsa. Now Kutichaka, what does this Kutichaka mean? There are certain type of sannyasis who take sannyas, so they leave their village, they go outside their village, there they build a hut and they stay there. There are various stages. In sannyas also various stages, there are various varieties. The severity of you say, then finally comes is the Paramhamsa stage, which is a stage where you are totally you can see things in the fourth dimension also. You start seeing things in the fourth dimension also. The one point you all must be wondering here, why again and again, the entire Bhagavatam, again and again, leave sense gratification, leave sense enjoyment, take up, renounce material enjoyment and all. What is the purpose of it? What is the purpose of it? उसके पीछे मकसद even परीक्षित पढ़ा asked the same question. सब छोड़ के बैठा हूँ, सब छोड़ के बैठा हूँ अभी, ना मुझे आने वाला है.
सब छोड़ के बैठा इसके लिए he would listen to the Bhagavatam properly. मतलब जब तक वो छोड़ेंगे नहीं तब तक ये नहीं मिलेगा.
Right, then अभी हम लोगों को बार-बार प्रभु जी पकड़ के हर शनिवार को ये सुनाते हैं.
हम लोग छोड़े
मटेरियल एंजॉयमेंट का पर आप खुद एक सामान के बैठे. हम आपसे स्टेटस छुपाते, सब छुपाते, फिर भी आप तो हमको छोड़ते नहीं. We think we are trying to hide our material enjoyment from you, but still we are doing it. So how do you understand? What is the purpose of Shastra again and again saying this? What is the purpose? What do you think should be the reason? Well, again and again the same thing is being discussed. ठीक है, बोल दिया, समझ गया, so is sense gratification नहीं. छोड़ दिया आपके कहने पे चाय कॉफी छोड़ा, नॉनवेज छोड़ा, दारू छोड़ा, सब छोड़ा. ये क्या अभी what is? You expecting me to become a Kutichaka, Bholaka, Parajacharya? What do you have planned to me today? So what do you understand?
Prabhuji, like sense gratification is in all the yonis, but in the human yoni, at least we have to have some realization, higher realization.
But again and again, same thing, banging the same thing every second class. Like in the initial stage, how we don't sit, how we don't sit, how we don't sit.
वो सुनते नहीं है ना इसलिए वो कर.
Like a spring, Prabhuji,
It's so
जैसे
important.
खींचते हैं, वैसा वापस आ जाता है.
See, it is said that when you go to a doctor, the doctor tells you, especially diseases like arthritis, diabetes, like when you are like every bi-monthly, tri-monthly or every 6 months at least, you go and visit the doctor with your diabetes report, your blood pressure report, and then he does some minor alteration in the medicines and he gives it. And every time what does it send you? What does it tell you? It tells you now you can eat sweets. What does he say? Please, if you eat sweets, you will die. Control yourself, control your tongue, don't eat much. So what does this mean? every time he is making you realize you are having a bodily disease. Your body is not perfect. You are having a bodily disease. Shastra is trying to make you realize you are having a soul disease also. एक आत्मा का बीमारी भी है. And what is that बीमारी? बीमारी of sense gratification. तो बार-बार जैसे डॉक्टर बार-बार बोलते हैं आपको मीठा नहीं खाना है, आपको मोटा हो जाओगे, तो ऑयल्स एंड फैट्स से दूर रहना है. As a disease of the problem may be. Similarly, here Shastra is, that's why even Prabhupada is mentioning the same thing. You will keep on mentioning up to the 12th canto. बार-बार एक ही चीज है. Everywhere you see, read the Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, हो जाए शान पुंसा संगस्य सुबुजायते. वहाँ पे भी वही आए. Everywhere you go, you will get the same message. The thing is, we are still not convinced that we are having a disease of the soul. And what is that disease? It is sense gratification. The minute that realization comes, it just takes a split second for a person to get out of the cycle of. It's just 1 second, one split second of surrender. One split second of surrender. But that doesn't come. Even in case of Gajendra, you see, 1,000 years he was busy fighting with that Magarmach. The crocodile was fighting for 1,000 years. And after fighting for 1,000 years, when tried all his methods, when he failed, then last birth का कुछ benefit था, पूर्वा अभ्यास that came in front of him as he could call the Lord. And then when he called the Lord came as a super fast speed. Then God was not 1,000 years. God was happily sitting with his wife. No problem. The minute he says, he lifted the nostril, it is said, every Gajendra Moksha, if you see the photograph, the nose is out. No? It is said that crocodile had pulled him that much that he was only having his trunk out. The crocodile had pulled him so much inside that only his trunk was. Because definitely a water animal will be more stronger in the water, and he is not a water animal, he is a land animal. So definitely his crocodile is a more stronger position. So it pulled him inside. And this our robe जो है ना, इसका speciality है. Suppose भगवान अगर anyone is detected with some big disease or an ailment, immediately, definitely your family members, close members will be informed. And अगला दिन सुबह सब लोग fight पकड़ के आ जाएंगे. Don't worry, मैं हूँ. We'll take you to the best doctor will treat you. All that will cover. And like that only the elephants also are coming and helping the elephant, Gajendra. And all of them tried. They are, this happens in the material life only. Then the doctor says, "Now we'll have to take 6 months treatment लेना पड़ेगा, 1 साल लेना पड़ेगा, कुछ करना पड़ेगा." Then and immediately few relatives, एक काम करता हूँ, मैं 1 महीना मैं देखूंगा, 1 महीना मैं दिन में बैठता हूँ, तुम रात में बैठो, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे. All that sort of helps will come. आता है ना, होता है. हम लोग देखते हैं. But then कितना दिन? All that fizzles out in a few months max. Very close related family रहेगा, बहुत close family रहेगा, बहुत eminent person हो आप घर के. This happens for a few months, and after that, okay, we have to also take care of our family, our life. You fight your war, we are there. हम हैं पीछे से हम लोग हैं. That's what happens. The material life में when things are going very smooth, they are all happy. They are all going on a nice, बढ़िया जीवन जी रहे हैं. And बढ़िया जीवन का आजकल पैरामीटर क्या है? Only money. Money is an important factor. I don't deny. Even for this YouTube streaming, we needed money. Without money, we cannot buy the camera. We cannot have this mic. We cannot have this laptop. Money is required. It's an important ingredient. It's a very important ingredient, but not the only ingredient. जैसे अगर आप बोलेंगे कोई सब्जी बनाओगे, आलू की सब्जी में आलू मेन है, पर सिर्फ आलू रख के नहीं कर सकते हो. You need masala, oil, ये वो सब लगेगा. So similarly, in material benefits in material life, Okay, better life is required, it is important, but then that should not be the only goal. That's what Prabhupada is saying, that's what Rishabh is also trying to show. This human life can be used for realizing something higher. But that doesn't mean, okay, we don't say that you take sannyas and realize it higher. Okay, staying in this material world also, you can realize this higher knowledge. But the problem is, the minute you are in this material world, वो संग आ जाता है तो रंग next week से पक्का. You ask anyone, Prabhuji, you are chanting around, you are chanting around. Next week, Prabhuji, week I was busy with my wife. Next week I am little busy with my father. Next week I will be busy, free. But next week ever will come. That is Bhava Roga. We take one more verse, and then we. Yes, 9th. Who will read?
O Brahmanas, in the 9th incarnation, the Lord prayed for by sages, accepted the body of a king, Prithu, who cultivated the land to yield various produces, and for that reason the earth was beautiful and attractive.
Prithu Maharaj. What was Prithu Maharaj did? With his chariot. That is why Prithvi naam kyun mila? Prithu Maharaj ki chariot ki wajah se. He leveled all the mountains. This was very up and down. Leveled the mountains. And then when he came to know, King Prithu came to know, okay, this land is not giving us seeds, grains. He took his bow and he wanted to kill the Mother Earth. Mother Earth took the form of a cow and she started running. All will come in the details in Age Bhagavatam. And then Prithu Maharaj said, you are depriving my children of food. He said, I am your wife. How can you kill me? But Prithu Maharaj is the incarnation of the Lord. And Dharti Mata is the wife of the Lord. No, you may be a wife, but you are depriving my children of food. That time she said, I had hidden all the seeds when the Rakshasas became powerful. The moral, what I am trying to tell you, this Leela, this story is, it is said, Shastra has said, whenever there is famine, akal, या grain, food का shortage है, what does this mean? धरती माता वो grains अपने अंदर छुपा के रखती है. Everything is there. See, you may say I am cultivating wheat, one may say I am cultivating rice, but from where did you get rice and wheat also? On the very first stage or the first place. Who first gave you the seeds of rice and wheat? So it was there in the earth. It is already there. But when the earth sees that there is too much of animal killing and adharma is being done, immediately it starts hiding the grains from children. That's why you see certain cursed countries are there where famine is very common. Countries like Africa and all. Africa was looked after by Kush, you know that? Love Kush. Kush was given. That is why they are still. There also Ramayana is taught, huh? Only certain parties के लिए राम का वजूद एक बड़ा question mark for certain political parties. But there they are called as Kusha. Something is there. It's a nice word is there. Kush का लोग बच्चे हैं. Kush के बच्चे. We are vanshid from Kush, and it is taught in the schools also. It is taught that Kush was the king and he was in charge of this place, and that he was there. So you see African countries, you see many of these countries are dying out of starvation and famine is very acute. Now also you see many parts of the world is not suffering because of famine. Luckily our country is not facing that. At least थोड़ा धर्म है, but जहाँ अधर्म है वहाँ famine होता है. So one has to understand that Prithu Maharaj made this earth beautiful. All the grains started growing, and he told that if you don't grow the grains back, I will kill you. He said, no, I will grow the grains, but she gives a reason. Since Asuras were predominant, I hid all the grains inside myself. So, and then he leveled the ground also. Okay, with this we'll close the class and we'll meet tomorrow morning. Okay, Hare Krishna. Anybody has got any doubts, questions can ask.